Source Podcast.
All right. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Thickest Source Podcast. I am your host, Michelle, along with
Anna,
Molly, and Melissa.
Yes, and we are back for episode 7. Oh, I'm sorry, 47.
try 8.
What? What?
8?
I'm confused, but
If y'all see Little Rascals, then y'all know what we're talking about.
yes. But no, episode 47, and it is my episode, and I am going to talk about a very sensitive subject. It's very personal to me as well.
Trigger warning?
Yes, trigger warning. Are we talking about pregnancy and infant loss awareness? I know a lot of our listeners or a lot of our Hmong sisters out there have probably most likely experienced one or the other. And I just wanted to touch a little bit of what that is and about what happened to me, what my condition was, and how I dealt with it. So, starting off, pregnancy and infant loss awareness, it has a month. It's in October, so it's already passed. But yes, it is October 15th, I believe, is the day that they set for the awareness campaign. So it says here that 1 in 75 births end in stillborn.
Oh.
1 in 1. Did I say 1 in 175? Is that what I said?
I think it's 1 in 175.
Okay, yeah. 1 in 175 births end up stillborn. And then 1 in 4 is pregnancy loss. And so for me, I was the 1 in 4 pregnancy loss. So let's see here. Yeah, so a lot of women go through it, and it's very shocking actually with the numbers, because I don't know about our listeners out here, but I didn't really know anybody who had like a miscarriage or a pregnancy loss when I had mine. So when I looked it up and looked at the numbers, it was kind of shocking. So like it says here, 21,000 babies are born stillborn every year in the U.S.
Oh, babies.
Yeah, so it's really sad. And let's see here. So we're gonna there's different reasons why certain pregnancies are lost, and then certain births end in stillborn. But I'm going to talk about my experience of what my case was. So I had what they call an incompetent cervix, or a weakened cervix. So the cervix is basically the tube that the baby comes out of, if that makes sense. Like where the baby comes down, through? Yeah, and through and out of you, out of mama. So during pregnancy, the cervix closes really, really tight, so the baby can stay safe and clean and sterilized up inside mommy's womb. Okay, that's the cervix's job, is to keep everything nice and closed and clean.
So it's like a plug?
Yes, literally, it's like a plug.
Oh.
Yes.
Kind of like the end of a balloon when you tie it.
Yeah, it is kind of like that.
Kind of
Yes.
like that, just not without the little dingly end.
Yes. Oh, and the cervix is also the part where they always measure you to see how dilated you are. Like if you're dilated to a 2, 3, 4, when once it dilates up to 10 centimeters, that's when you can start pushing. So that's what the cervix is. Okay. Now, excuse me. So it says during pregnancy, as the baby grows and gets heavier, it presses on the cervix, because when babies grow, they get heavier, so they start to drop more and more to the bottom of the womb to get ready for birth. So, and this pressure may cause the cervix to start to open, before the baby's even ready to come out. And so that's what causes the incompetent cervix. So, and it may lead to miscarriage or premature delivery. Let's see. Incompetent cervix happens in only about 1 out of 100 pregnancies. So that's me.
Wow, literally a 1% chance.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So carrying your developing baby to full term is the objective of any pregnancy. So, like most losses during the first trimester, which would be kind of like miscarrying, what you would say miscarriage is, during the first semester, it's usually because of a chromosomal abnormality. Second trimester or later losses are often a result of an incompetent cervix.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that either until, it happened to me. So, the causes for it, it says here that it can be caused by one or more of the following conditions. Like say if you had previous surgery on your cervix, damage during a difficult birth beforehand, a malformed cervix or uterus from a birth defect, previous trauma to the cervix, such as a DNC, a dilation and curettage from termination or a miscarriage, or DES, which is diethyl stilbestrol exposure.
So a big word.
It is very big. But I'm guessing exposure to some type of chemical or something.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm assuming. I didn't have a chance to look that up.
It says it's prescribed to millions of pregnant women from in 1938 to 1971 to help prevent pregnancy complications. So, yeah.
So it's a medication.
Yeah. Is that right?
Did you hear anything she said?
Yeah.
It was very scientific.
I guess that's what they used to take to help the pregnancy not have complications.
Exposure to that medication that supposedly helps prevent complications.
Okay.
How is it supposed to help?
I don't know. It's old. It's back.
It's
old.
Old times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. So, those are the causes of an incompetent cervix. For me, my cause was what my doctor thinks is that my cervix just weakened after having my first child. Yes.
So he had a big head? Just kidding.
No, not a big. It doesn't have to do anything with that. I think it's just the way my body
reacted
or is built. So, and of course, we both didn't know, my doctor and I, because I didn't have any history of it, nor there was any history in my family of incompetent cervixes. So it all came as a surprise.
Or that we know of, because a lot of Hmong girls are hush-hush.
Yeah, that's true too.
So,
yeah, so I don't know. Maybe, yeah, like you said, maybe in our family line there is someone who had it, but didn't know that was causing miscarriages and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. So as far as I know, I'm the first that this has happened to. So, yeah, mine was due to just giving birth to my first child, and through that, it just weakened my cervix.
Wow.
So, next is, how will I know if I have an incompetent cervix? Unfortunately, incompetent cervix is not routinely checked for during pregnancy. Therefore, it's not usually diagnosed until after a second or third trimester miscarriage has occurred. So basically, you won't know you have it until you've lost the baby.
Oh my God, that's so devastating.
It is. It's very devastating, unless you have family history of other women having that happen to. Then they won't check for it.
Oh my God.
So because you have no history, so there's no point in checking for it, or more like there's no way to check for it unless you have a loss.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. Let's see. Women can be evaluated before pregnancy or in early pregnancy by ultrasound if they have any of the factors that are potential causes of incompetent cervix. It can be diagnosed through the physician's pelvic exam or by an ultrasound. Basically, the transvaginal ultrasound. It's the one where
I hate that one.
They stick the tube up.
yeah,
Yes.
they stick up inside you. Yeah.
Right.
I'm always like, oh, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's usually how they check and see.
They put a condom on it, and then they put a whole bunch of lube in it, and they're like, all right, take a deep breath, and they just go, whoop.
It's like a
Inside.
baton up your woohoo.
Yeah.
Yes, it is like a baton. No, you're
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, ooh, please get it out. But they're like, hold on.
They're trying to see your ovaries and fallopian tubes and
I
stuff
know,
like
but it
that.
hurts.
You know, I wonder if there's certain girls who kind of get off from that, you know.
Really?
Just randomly.
Probably.
I'm sure, yes.
I didn't like the way my body reacted when she took it out, though, and I'm like, felt violated. I was like, just laying there on the table, and they leave, and I'm like, oh my god.
I've just been violated.
Yes, for real.
And I'm like looking around for like tissue or something.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Wipe,
I
yeah.
To
gotta
wipe.
wipe all that off.
You were there, Lois. Is what it is. Okay. Sorry. The ultrasound, the transvaginal ultrasound, would be used to measure the cervical opening or the length of the cervix, because that will determine whether or not your cervix is weakening. So basically, the shorter your cervix starts to look in the ultrasound is when they'll determine whether or not you have incompetent cervix. So let's see. How often does an incompetent cervix happen? It happens in about 1 to 2% of pregnancies. Almost 25% of babies miscarried in the second trimester are due to an incompetent cervix. So quite a bit, you know. And a lot of times they, like I said, they won't know until you have your first loss.
Oh my god.
First loss, maybe even second loss too. So prevention. Let's see. You can't prevent incompetent cervix, but the experts suggest the following tips to help promote a healthy full-term pregnancy. Seek regular prenatal care. So all of you Hmong sisters out there, you need to see a doctor. Okay.
Specifically, your OB.
Yes, specifically your OB-GYN. If you don't have one, get one, because they are very important for your girly health down there.
Just your overall health too.
Yeah,
This
that's it.
reminds me of my work buddy or lunch buddy where I asked her, what does your gyno say? Because she went to the gyno. She's like, what's a gyno? And I'm like, that's your girl doctor I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's like, oh. And then she told me about it. And I was just like, well, then you might want to follow up with your doctor. Then.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, you know, because we all know, at least someone, have heard of someone in the Hmong community, sisters who have never been or don't even know what that is. So please, if you're pregnant or sexually active, go find an OB-GYN, which is a doctor of obstetrician.
Obstetrician? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Obstetrics or
Yeah, a doctor of obstetrics or something like that. Obstetrics and gynecology. The OB part is the babies, and the gyno part is the lady parts. Okay?
yeah. What she said.
So, I mean, yeah, so going back to this, in a way, you can't prevent it. So they just want you to seek regular prenatal care. That way they can monitor your status, the baby status, and how your uterus and everything's doing. Eat a healthy diet, because, you know, your body and your baby needs supplements, and needs to stay healthy, like prenatal vitamins and whatever else supplements that your doctor wants you to take. I would advise to listen to them. Let's see. Gain weight wisely. So gaining the right amount of weight can support your baby's health. A weight gain of 25 to 35 pounds is often recommended for women who have a healthy weight before pregnancy. Stop. That's just for a single baby that you have inside you. So, avoid risky substances, like smoking, alcohol, drugs, off limits. If you're doing any of that before pregnancy, it's time to stop. So, let's see. Also, make sure you get your doctor's okay before trying any medications or supplements over the counter that you're not sure of. Because it can be okay to take some and not okay to take some. So, since there's not any real prevention, there are treatment options available. Let's see. The treatment for an incompetent or weakened cervix is a procedure that sews the cervix closed to reinforce the weak cervix. The procedure is called a cerclage. That's CERCLAGE, and is usually performed between weeks 14 and 16 of pregnancy. Let me see. I was probably for my first loss. Hang on, I'm trying to think now.
That was more than that.
What?
When you lost the first one.
Yes. With my first baby that I lost, Callan, I was already 22, 23 weeks
20, yeah.
along. This is before I even figured out or knew that I had an incompetent cervix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was about 23 weeks pregnant when I started to have contractions, really bad contractions. And went to the doctor. Well, actually went to the ER first, and then they sent me up to labor and delivery. They checked, they did tests and ultrasound or whatever, checked the baby's heartbeat. His heart was still beating. So to me, that was a good thing when I heard his heart beating. And then let me see what else. I was in so much pain because the contractions were super duper painful. And I was also hurting down there too, around where the cervix is. It just, it was just hurting really bad. And so baby looked good on ultrasound. His heart looked good. But when they went and checked me under there in my vagina, they used one of those speculums that they use whenever you go in for your pap smear. They used one of those. They opened me up and they saw that the bag, the water bag, the amniotic. There you go. That the amniotic sac had already, part of it had already slipped through my cervix, and that's a big no-no because once that bag slips out, it is exposed to different bacterias and germs and stuff like that that shouldn't be anywhere near the amniotic sac and your baby. So when they saw that, they basically checked me into a room and they tried to stop my contractions by giving me, I forget what it was. I think it was magnesium or something. But yeah, they tried to stop my contractions, and they lift the foot of my bed up a little bit to kind of take the pressure off of my cervix, and to try to see if that weight will kind of make the bag slip back in a way. That way they don't have to intervene medically or whatever. But it didn't work. It did not work. I was in too much pain. So they gave me what is that called when they stick you in the back? Epidural. Yeah. There we go. Dude, my brain is.
Epi. What's it called? Epi.
You just said epi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Epi.
EP.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in so much pain. So I asked for an epidural, so they gave me one. I think during that time they were still trying to stop my contractions, but nothing they tried to do was able to stop it. So, so they just lowered my bed, and I just pretty much laid there until until my body was ready to push. And it was very devastating because my baby was fine. Like, there was nothing abnormal about him. He was alive. He was moving. I could still feel him moving. His heartbeat was, same, normal, healthy. So it was very devastating to know that I was going to lose this perfectly healthy baby. Now, the doctors and nurses did tell us that there is a small chance that we could save him if he were to come out taking a breath. So if he were to come out of me and he was breathing, an option was to, take him to the NICU, and they can put like tubes and stuff in him to help him breathe, help his lungs develop more, et cetera, et cetera. However, they said that even if we were able to get him to like breathe and hang on and survive, there's like a 50-60% chance of him having like brain damage or stunted growth of his lungs and any other parts of his bodies. So there's no way that we would know that he would have a normal life, I guess I should say. Yeah, so he could have brain damage, he could have lung issues and stuff like that during the whole trying to save him thing. So, and they said that, but if he comes out not breathing, then there's nothing that they can do. They can always try to, resuscitate him, but there's no point because they would be doing more damage to his little body than helping it. So, but yeah, so I basically just laid in that hospital bed, kind of drugged up and what's the word, kind of dazed a little bit because I just could not believe what was going on, that this was happening to me, of all people, right? So yeah, I was laying there for a bit, and then I started to feel pressure down there. So the nurse checked me, and she's like, okay, she said that I was dilated enough to push. However, the amniotic sac was still, hanging out. And so she asked me to push to kind of see where we were at. And she's like, okay, I don't feel a baby's head. I feel the sac, but I don't feel the baby's head. And so she told me to try to push again. And when I did, my water broke. So it splashed everywhere. It was all over the bed. I even saw it splash kind of like onto the nurse.
Damn.
Yeah. She's like, okay, well, I need you to push like real hard for me. And I was like, okay. So I did. And I guess when my water broke, then she was able to feel Callan's head. And she called the doctor in, and there was like a scramble of like nurses and everything coming in and stuff like that. And let's see, the doctor was there looking at the baby, and she's all like, okay, I need you to push again. And I think with this last push, he should be completely out since he's so small. So I went ahead and pushed, and he came out, and he did I can't really say scream, but he squeaked, or he squealed a little bit, and he took a breath.
Aww.
So he was alive, and yeah, so he was alive when he came out. And me and Chow, we couldn't decide what we wanted to do at that point. So they took the baby, they cut his umbilical cord, they They did, everything that they normally do with a baby, and they wrapped him up, and they gave him to me. And the doctor was asking, what did you guys decide to do? What do you want to do? Please let us know so we can, take action if we need to. And honestly, I wanted to put all my bets in to try and save him. But that and the logical of, the percentage of him actually having a normal life was kind of weighing. So, but Chow had already set his heart on not saving him because he didn't want him to suffer the rest of his life if that's how his life was going to turn out to be. So he just talked to me and he convinced me to, we should let him go since the percentages aren't in our favor. So, that's what we did. We basically just sat in that hospital bed with him until I couldn't take it anymore. So I had the nurse take him. So she took him, and I think I was just I was in shock. I think I was still just in shock and dazed and still kind of like drugged up in a way to where I didn't, I don't think I was 100% there, because I gave him away to the nurse before he even, passed. So every time I think about it, it's like, sorry.
Take your time.
Every time I think about it, it's like I let him die alone almost, because I couldn't take it. I didn't know what was going on. So yeah, when I think about it, it's just I feel horrible because I should have kept him in my arms until he passed. But instead, I had the nurse take him, and he ended up passing with them, I guess, or however they had him. I don't know, but yeah, that's probably one of my most regrettable moments in my life, is that I wasn't there when he passed. So it was very hard. I suffered, mentally, emotionally for the longest time afterwards. And it didn't help that I didn't have anybody, or I didn't know of anyone that was going through the same thing as I did. So I kind of just kept it all to myself. I suffered by myself because I didn't want to burden anybody else, because I know that in the good in their hearts and stuff, they want to understand and they want to comfort me, but it was kind of like they wouldn't know how to comfort me because they don't know how I'm feeling. So I just, to save myself that disappointment, I just kept it to myself. I kept my sadness, my craziness, everything, my anger, all that to myself. I think a lot of the times I didn't even talk to Chow about it. But I think it's because a part of me hated him for having us choose not to save him. So I've talked to him about it now, but back then. Yeah. Back then I was just so angry with him. And knowing men, they don't really share their feelings. So I never knew how he was feeling. I never knew if he was actually mourning him or not, because the last time I saw him cry for him was at the funeral, and then after the funeral, that was it. I never saw him cry. I never saw him, or talk about him or whatnot. But so I would always be so pissed off about that. But then later on, I just realized that, some men process it differently, and he processed it by keeping himself busy with work. Mm-hmm. That way, as long as he's busy, he won't have time to think about it or feel it. Mm-hmm. So, but of course, back then, I didn't understand that, so I was just suffering all by myself. It was bad enough to where I had turned to alcohol. So I had a drinking problem for a while. It was never out in public. It was more at home in secret, because I was hurting bad enough to where I didn't want to hurt anymore. So the only way to do that was to have drinks, to where it would make my face numb and stuff like that, to where it just didn't really hurt anymore, even though it still did. But I felt like that was the only way that I could sleep as well. Because, apparently alcohol is a stimulant, and other people say it's a sedative. At that time, it was a sedative for me, because I could not sleep because of all that. Because of all the pain, of all the anger. It was not a good time in my life. I think that's when I started to lose weight too, because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was just kind of running on autopilot because I still had Liam. So honestly, if I didn't have Liam, I probably wouldn't be here. I mean, I wouldn't say that I would be dead, but I'd probably be like in rehab or something. Yeah, but I think it's because of Liam that I'm still here, because every time I see him, I just knew I had to keep going through my days to, take care of him and not look like a complete mess in front of him. So from doing that, I ended up kind of just suppressing everything, because I had to be there for Liam. Because he's my firstborn, he's my kid, he's there, there in front of me, so I need to focus on him. And so in doing that, I just ended up suppressing everything, down, my feelings, my thoughts, whatever, and I just focused on Liam. I didn't even think about what I went through, what I've lost, or anything like that. So all that, I shoved all the way down to the deepest, darkest part of my soul, and just kept moving on. Okay. And then later on, we decided to try again, and I was pregnant again. And this time,
what was the time difference?
Let's see. Callan's birthday is November 24th, 2013, and I think
I was in Tahlequah. Fall of 2014 is when you were in the hospital, and I was thinking about driving back and forth to help.
Yeah.
Because you're on bed rest.
Yeah, so it wasn't even like the end of the year before. Oh, maybe it was the beginning. Anyway, it was only like a few months after we lost Callan that I was pregnant again. And with this one, my doctor suggested that we do a cerclage, but she wanted to wait until like I was more like 17, 18 weeks. A few weeks before the date, a few weeks before the week that I had lost Callan, just to, be safe. Because I guess normally they do it in like the second trimester, but she wanted to do it earlier just to be safe. Um, but unfortunately, life had other plans, and I started to have contractions again. I was like 14, 15 weeks along this time. So yeah, I started to have contractions. I remember it too. It was like me, Chow, and Liam. We were eating at Cece's Pizza. Cece's Pizza, and then I had the sensation to go pee, so I went to go pee. But after I was done and I stood up, I just had this really hard, like, cramp in my belly, like at the lower part of my belly. And I started to feel kind of sore again under there, like in my, vagina area. So, of course, I was freaking out in the bathroom. But I didn't want to scare Chow just yet in case it was like a false alarm. So I decided to just, breathe through it or whatever, calm down, go sit. And the contractions did go away for a little bit. I think that's when, while we were going home after eating, Chow had a gig that day. And I told him before he left, which is probably not a good idea, but I did it anyway, just so he'd know. I told him that I had contractions at the restaurant, but right now it seems to be okay. I mean, I would feel it every once in a while, but it wasn't as intense. So, he told me to just sit and rest for the rest of the day, and that if anything else happens or whatever, to call him, and then he would come back. But let me see. It was really late at night. Liam was already sleeping, and I was still up because I was super anxious as hell, and I had a feeling to go use the bathroom. I felt like I needed, to take a dump, to go poop. So when I went to try and go poop, I felt something, which was basically the amniotic sac, kind of like drop inside into my vagina.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I freaked out. I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm just, crazy and just overreacting or whatever, right? So me and my crazy self, what I decided to do was I reached up inside me to check and feel it. And I felt it.
The sack?
Yes, I felt the sack.
Oh my god.
It literally felt like a water balloon.
Oh.
I figured like a fish bag.
Yeah.
A fish bag when you bring fishes home.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. It felt like a water balloon. And I pulled my hand out so fast, and then I just broke down because I knew I was going to lose this one. And at this time, when they did the ultrasound early, they had told me that it was a girl. Yeah, they told me that I was having a girl. So, of course, I broke down crying even harder because it's like, great, now it's a little girl that I'm about to lose. I mean, not that it would matter if it's a girl or a boy, but, Anyway, so when that happened, luckily Chow had just pulled in from his gig. This was like midnight, 1 a.m. or so. So he was exhausted. He hasn't had any sleep, but he came in and I told him that we need to go to the hospital because it's happening again. So we dropped Liam off with my parents. We went to the hospital. They checked me in, and the doctor that was on staff that night, she checked me, and sure enough, she confirmed that yes, my amniotic sac was out. So again, baby's heart was fine and everything like that. So they checked me in, but this time we went and did like more of extreme measures. Because I had started seeing a specialist doctor that specializes in high-risk pregnancies, and she came in that same morning, probably like 6, 7 a.m. While I was in the hospital. They had, again, I'm trying to think what they did, but my contractions had stopped by then on its own. So the only thing I had was just an IV, and the doctor came in and she's like, okay. She's like, if you want, we can try the less. I mean, both choices are invasive, but she's like, we can try the less invasive one, which is an amniocentesis, which is they stick a needle through my belly to into the amniotic sac of the baby, and they will drain some of the fluid out. And she thinks that hopefully when they do that, it'll shrink the sac a bit to where it'll slip back inside. And then I think she said after that, we can take you to the OR and do like an emergency, cerclage or whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And she's like, okay, well, let's try the amniocentesis. It did not work. And then I'm thinking, yeah, it didn't work, and I'm trying to think now. It didn't work, but it didn't work, and so she was all like, okay, now, do you want me to take you back and put a cerclage in? And I automatically just said, yes, do it. Do it, because all I could think about was, I'm not going to have this happen like twice in a row where I say no and like regret it later, right? So I just said yes. I was like, yes to everything, do everything, whatever. And so a rush of, all these staff members coming in. I was signing papers, consent, whatever, whatnot. And then before I knew it, I was in the OR room. They had my legs tied up. I literally felt like a cow, where they lift the cow legs up or whatever. And so I had my specialist doctor in there, and then my regular OB doctor was there too for support. And she also wanted to observe the operation. So luckily, they were able to get the amniotic sac back in and sew me up. So that was a success. Now, the thing was just I would be hospitalized for a couple weeks to kind of monitor my vitals and stuff, because they didn't want me to get like an infection and stuff like that. So I was in the hospital for almost a week, I'd say, before the nurse came in, and she came to check on me, and she did the little portable
ultrasound.
No, it wasn't the ultrasound. It was where you just look for the baby's heartbeat. I forgot what those are called.
Something monitor. Fetal monitor something.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, no, she came in to check on the baby, and she was like looking around my whole belly, and she couldn't find the heartbeat. And so she's like, okay, maybe she's just somewhere where we can't get to her or whatever. So I'll get an actual ultrasound tech to come up here and have a look. So they're bringing this machine in, and they're like, she's sitting there going through my belly and whatever, whatnot. And a part of me had already knew that, I lost this baby already, because the only reason why they were bringing in the big ultrasound is to determine whether or not the baby's heartbeat was still there or not. And it wasn't. They came in and told me, like, for some reason, the baby doesn't have a heartbeat anymore. I don't know why, because I didn't have an infection or anything like that. My baby's heart just gave out. So they started the process of waiting to see if my body would do its natural thing and expel him or expel her. We waited a couple hours, nothing happened, so they started Pitocin. That way it'll make my body start to contract and, give birth to her or whatever. Yeah, I was sitting there for however long until I was ready to pushed the baby out. And the doctor that was on call there, she's like, She's like, when they told you the gender, did they do, what is it? Like a genetic test, or was it like through ultrasound? And I said through ultrasound. And she's like, oh, okay, well, it's a boy. Not a girl, it's a boy. And I was like, oh, okay. So, so they took the baby, they wrapped it up for me again. And I just held on to that baby until everybody came in to, see him or whatever. And then gave him to the nurse and had them do whatever it is that they do to babies that little. Because with Callan was like barely a pound. He was like, God, just barely a little bit bigger than my hand, I think. But then with my second one, we call him Peanut. He was literally in my hand. That's how small he was. And of course, he didn't develop skin yet, so he literally looked like a prop for a movie.
Like the ones you see on the scary movies where they're kind of like...
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So it was...
like those, what do you call it? Specimen? Is
Yeah.
That what you say it, kind of?
Yeah, like a specimen. I mean, you could still see like his facial features. He had like all his 10 fingers, 10 toes. So, yeah. And therefore, I lost another one. Even with the cerclage. And so, even with the cerclage and other complications can happen. So, after losing that one, we waited like 5 years or so before we tried again. And when we tried again, this one, my second boy, Rowan, my doctor did everything under the sun as a precaution to, help me keep this baby. So I had the cerclage done at like 14 weeks along. And then she also had me on progesterone shots. So every week on Tuesday, I had to go up to the office and they would give me a shot, like my hip area.
Yeah.
So, yeah, every Tuesday, I was going up there getting a shot in my butt. Because apparently they say that having those progesterone shots would help, right? Mm-hmm. So, and miraculously, I was able to keep him inside until about 36, 37 weeks. And she cut the cerclage out. And I was able to have him normally, through normal birth, contractions, epidural, or whatever. So I finally had my rainbow baby. And we named him Rowan. My dad gave him the Hmong name Sheyang, which is, like perfect fit for him, So, had my rainbow baby. He was perfect. I mean, he was definitely one of my crazy childs, but
he's the most dramatic one.
He's so smart. Yeah.
Yeah, very smart, dramatic. And then when I got pregnant with my last one, my third boy, we did the cerclage again. It was successful, but we didn't do progesterone shots because I guess later studies have shown that it doesn't make a difference, that much of a difference. Which is fine and great because that saved me a lot of money because those shots were expensive.
Yeah.
And I didn't like going up there every week to get poked. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cerclage worked. Pregnancy was fine. Gave birth to him just fine. He was, healthy baby boy. So he's our last one because I'm just tired of going through all of that. But yeah, that's my experience with it. And one thing that I regret about the whole thing is that I didn't look for help, like a therapist, like a
community. Is it a community?
Yeah,
like other girls.
Yeah,
other
I didn't know to look for a community. I didn't know I could do that. I wish
a support group.
Yeah, I wish someone had told me about support groups and stuff back then. But hell, I was a child back then, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
and also therapy. I didn't know about therapy either, so I wish I had gone to what are they called? Grief
Counselor.
Yeah, grief
Yeah.
counselor. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish I'd gone to a grief counselor because that would have helped a lot. So, I think all of that kind of contributed to my PPD, postpartum depression, that I had after Rowan, my rainbow baby, and I also had it after my third one. So, ladies, if you have gone through any of this, or if you have, or if hopefully you don't go through this, but if you happen to unfortunately do, I highly, highly recommend that you seek help, whether it's through a community, a support group, a therapist, or any type of like physical therapy, like, running or working out or whatever, something to help you, because it is very bad for your health to, kind of just stuff it away, because, the Hmong community, we don't talk about our feelings. It's taboo to talk about our feelings, to, express ourselves, and to look for help, But it is 2023, almost 2024. So please, if you are suffering mentally, emotionally, whether it's from something devastating like this or any other losses, or just, anything else that's stressing you, that's why we advocate for mental health, because it helps, literally. It helps, and it will save you. So,
No trauma is too little. Whatever you're going through.
No trauma is too little. So, but yeah, that is my story. Let me see. This episode is coming out on Callan's birthday, the 24th.
Happy birthday, Callan.
Happy
Yeah,
10th
so
birthday,
Happy
baby.
10th birthday. Yes, this happened 10 years ago. So it'll be his 10th birthday on the 24th. So, but that pretty much ends my emotional episode about pregnancy and infant loss awareness, because I know, again, that's a taboo subject in the Hmong community. So, sisters, if you need someone to talk to or advice or whatever, I'm here. There's others of us out there that have suffered the same thing, and if you need somebody or resources or whatever, we can help you with that. Talk to us. If it helps you to talk out to somebody who knows, I'm here.
Her DMs are open.
Yeah.
For that.
Yes, my DMs, our DMs, whatever, however you want to reach me or us as a group, just let us know, because I do not want my Hmong sisters out there suffering alone in the literal, dark, because you're by yourself, because nobody wants to talk about it. So I am inviting you, I am telling you, seek help, look for help. Help is there.
You are not alone.
Yes. So, everyone out there, all our listeners, please take care of yourselves. Remember, again, we are here, and we love you guys. So, until next time, be good. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.